Welcome to Real Talk for Women of Faith. We are your hosts. I'm Marzette McGarry Hawkins.
And I am Nicole Rivas.
And we have Joan joining us today, Joan Carter Lee, by phone. Joan, are you there?
Yes, I am. Hello to everyone.
Hello. Hello, Joan.
Hi, Joan.
Good to hear your voice.
Hi.
And ladies, we want to remind you that Real Talk for Women of Faith is brought to you by Inner City Women of Faith. We endeavor to empower women of faith with God's truths for everyday life situations. If you want to learn more about our ministry, go to innercitywomenoffaith.org. That's innercitywomenoffaith.org. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and like and share us on Facebook and Instagram at Real Talk for Women of Faith. Now, our topic for today is entering into God's rest. Entering into God's rest. And we are honored today to have a guest, Unitha El Muhammad, who's going to lead us in the topic of entering into God's rest. Now, Unitha is an amazing woman of God. Her calling and determination is to help people live emotionally and spiritually whole lives. She's a licensed minister, and she works side by side with her husband, Pastor Omar Muhammad, who is the pastor of Faithful Central Bible Church, downtown LA site. Unitha has worked in various spiritual environments and communities. She has extensively studied spirituality, sexuality, inner healing, and emotional and relationship healing. Unitha has hosted her own radio show, and she's done so many other things. I can't even list them all. But she and her husband, Omar, Pastor Omar Muhammad, they have 4 children. And you can learn more about Unitha on her website at thehealingspecialist.net. That's thehealingspecialist.net. You can find her website on our Facebook page at Real Talk for Women of Faith or on our Instagram, Real Talk for Women of Faith. So let's welcome Unitha Muhammad. Unitha, you there? Oh, Unitha, your mic is on mute, we're told.
There we go. Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Hi, ladies. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
So, Unitha, thank you for joining us today.
Yes.
And you are not with us in the
Hi,
studio.
Joan.
Oh, that's
Hello,
right,
Unitha.
Joan.
How are you? Good.
Good. Well, so Unitha, you're going to talk to us today about entering into God's rest, right? Now, Joan has a question for you.
Yes, Unitha, I'd like to ask, what does it mean to actually enter into God's rest? What does that mean?
Well, to enter into God's rest is basically about taking time to get with God, commune with God out of your day. In life, we can be in situations where we're going. We always have things to do, places to go. Definitely pre-COVID, where we were just busy doing things. And even for me, I don't know about you guys, but even during COVID, I feel like I'm working harder than I was before COVID with my job. But, it's about setting that time aside to commune and be with God, and to purposefully know that you are settling yourself and entering into a restful place and a restful space.
Okay.
Okay.
And so you're saying that entering into God's rest is really something that we have to initiate. It's not something that just happens. We have to
be intentional. Entering into God's rest is being intentional to say, I'm going to, number one, be at rest. Mm-hmm. And number two, I'm going to be at rest in God, which means I'm going to go in my time of prayer, my time of meditation, and I'm going to center myself in the Spirit of God, which means in a prayer mode, in a meditation mode where we silence everything and we're just resting ourselves, calming ourselves, in order to be replenished and renewed, and all those things that come with rest. Quiet ourselves to get what we need.
And why is that important? Like, if I'm a Christian out there, why is that important to me? Why do I want to do that?
Good question, Nicole. The reason why I would want to do that is because in our going, we can bring stress on our bodies. We can incur illness. We can have stress, and we can have confusion. We could, when you're like, I don't know what's going on. I'm so confused. Part of it is because you haven't taken that time to rest. A lot of times I say to people, we go to sleep at night, but we're not resting. Some people aren't resting. They're not allowing themselves to go into a deep sleep, which incurs rest, and they wake up refreshed and renewed. And when we enter into God's rest, we are enabling our bodies to calm down. We're enabling our immune systems to be replenished and refreshed. And we're also allowing ourselves, I believe part of entering into his rest is to get clarity, to peace, to get to calm, and to hear from God in ways that we couldn't if we're moving all the time.
Yeah. I want to slow you down for a second, because there's some stuff you said there, and I want to unpack it because there's a lot there. The first one is you gave the example of when you go and you sleep, right? That you renew your body. But also, a lot of times that old adage, sleep on it, scientists are finding that actually is true. When you sleep on it, you relax the brain enough to enter problem solving.
Yes.
And so a lot of times when you sleep on it, you'll wake up in the morning and the problem, all of a sudden, the problem which you just couldn't figure out how to solve, all of a sudden, you have all the answers. And I think, Unitha, you're saying the same thing. You're saying that we think obsessing about the problem, talking about the problem, worrying about the problem is what brings resolution. But just like sleeping can help you problem solve, resting in the Lord and getting your mind off the problem and on God can help you problem solve.
Exactly, Nicole. Right. Exactly.
Because you're not trying to fix it. You're not in that not in that action mode. Because oftentimes too, we're not only trying to reason and think about it and try to solve it mentally, but we're also physically, like, actively doing let me do this, let me do that. We're trying to fix things, actively. And so,
I call that, Marzette? I call that the art of allowing. When we enter into his rest, we're allowing.
Okay,
we're allowing God's will to be done.
Slow down.
We're allowing things to unfold naturally as God would have them be, instead of us striving and instead of us pushing and trying to make things happen.
Yeah, Unitha, I was about to slow you down, not because I wanted to cut you off, but because when you say something that powerful, I want you to slow down and repeat it again.
that allowing.
When she said the art
of allowing.
And
the art.
And there's two crucial words there. Number one, that it's an art, right? So it's not something it's something that is natural, but requires perfecting.
Yes.
Right.
You can be born with a painting skill, but you still need to perfect that. So that one is powerful, that it's an art, one that has to be practiced and refined, and then allowing.
Yes. Yeah, because, in this world, Nicole and Marzette and Joan, people can tell us, you got to make it happen. You have to go out and do it. Put your hustle on and do all this. But there is also beauty in a way of accomplishing things by slowing down and allowing things to unfold, allowing things to take their natural progression. It's like teaming. I call it, I co-labor and I partner with God. for the unfolding of my life. So when I am practicing the art of allowing, when things are on my mind, or issues or problems or goals that I'm trying to figure out, I take that breath and I go, okay, Lord, you know what's best for me. I'm going to surrender to your will for my life.
Yes.
And I'm going to rest in you, knowing that you're going to work it out for my good. And I'm going to listen and be in tune to your prompts. So one prompt could be, call this person. Another prompt could be, go here, go visit over here. And that's where the answer is. So the art of allowing is really also about surrender. It's about surrendering.
And I'm trying to figure out the best way to phrase this question so it's clear. Explain to me, what is the difference between allowing and just being passive? Because I think a lot of times people confuse those two.
Well, I think when you're passive, you're just, when people say go with the flow, I don't believe in going with the flow. I don't go with anybody's flow but God. If I'm going to go with the flow, then I'm going to be in I call it the flow life. I'm going to be in the flow life with God. So sometimes people let life happen to them. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a conscious intention to align yourself with the will and way of God. And in that, allowing God to give you clarity, direction, courage, boldness, strength, everything you need to accomplish the things that he has purposed for your life. So the difference from passive and allowing is I'm aligning myself with God's will. I'm waiting for instructions. So there's something I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be taking some action steps, but it's not me like, okay, I think I'm going to do this. Then I'm going to do that. Then I'm going to do this. And then I'm going to do that. And then at the end of it, it's like, was God a part of that? Were you led by the Spirit? What was your motivation behind what you were doing?
So no, finish your thought. I don't want to interrupt you.
So I was saying, it makes you, the thing about entering into his rest is you're slowing yourself down. The real thing is what we're doing. We're slowing ourselves down to hear God. And when we hear God, we'll know what the next move is. It's like that intuitive thing within us will be, I need to call Marzette today. I may not know why I need to call Marzette, but I know I need to call her. And in that could be my conversation with Marzette could be the answer to my prayer or the answer to my problem or the answer that I needed, just in being obedient to that.
Yeah. And
so this is how I just so you kind of understand and frame it. It's like, I say all my appointments are divine appointments because I'm aligned with the will of God. So I'm constantly moving and having my beingness in God. I am where I'm supposed to be at all moments because I'm surrendered to God.
Right.
And let me I want to give an example to our listening audience. And we've actually started doing both radio and video. So normally I would rely solely on the visual, but I'm going to try to describe it for our radio audience. And so I would say this is what it sounds like. If you want to see the video, you'll get some action going with it if you're listening on the radio. So this is what not resting sounds like. It sounds like, okay, I got to fix this. This is a mess. Where am I going to do? Okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to call this. I'm going to spend this.
Yes.
Your
You're
mind is running
exasperated.
Your mind
1,000
is
miles an hour, just trying to figure it out, basically.
1,000 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And then you're
Right.
mad at everybody. You're grumpy.
Yep.
You're snapping at everybody. Even
Yep.
if God sends someone to you with the solution, I don't have time to talk to you today
Because I'm trying to fix
Exactly.
because I'm trying to fix it. That's what.
and you
Right.
can't hear God either.
And I
When
can't
he's
hear
trying
him.
to
You can't
lead
hear.
Oh, no.
Right?
Better yet, I'm too stressed trying to fix the problem, so I don't have time to pray.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
read my word or do anything else because I'm busy.
I gotta fix
Trying to
this. I'm
fix the
trying to
problem.
fix this. Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
that's one, right? So that's
Yeah.
not resting.
Yes.
Passive,
Most definitely not.
passive, which is the other end of the extreme, looks like I give up.
Yeah.
I can't do anything about it.
What's
Yeah.
gonna be. People always say that when they're passing.
What's gonna be
is gonna be. And
what's
I'm like,
gonna
no,
be-
that's not true.
Yep.
You have a part in this, right? So
Exactly.
that's that passive mindset. Well, what it's gonna be.
That's
what it's gonna
right,
be.
Mark.
What's gonna be, it's
What's
gonna be.
Gonna be. Yeah.
And then so
Say
it's
that.
like I throw up my hands. I stop
Yep.
trying. I just whatever. God is in control. So whatever,
yeah, whatever.
whatever it comes at me, whatever.
Right.
Right? That's the
Or
other extreme.
you know what also people will say too, it's like, well, I know God is able, but I just don't feel like he will for me. That's
Ooh.
another thing.
That's another.
That's
thing.
another part of passive.
That's another part of passive. So those are the two extremes.
Right.
Mhm.
We lose
How-
God's promises.
Oh, wait, what did you say, Joan?
Yeah, sorry, Joan, we didn't hear
Yeah.
you.
I said we lose God's promises
Yes.
in
Yeah.
our everyday lives. We
Yeah.
know the scripture, but we lose the promises.
Yes.
And it's like looking at ourselves in the mirror and walking away and forgetting what we look like immediately.
Mm-hmm.
So we
Mhm.
have to carry both of them together, the
Mhm.
promises as well as our everyday walking around life,
Yeah.
and let God's word be supreme. We're very good. I'm enjoying this. I don't know about the rest of
Yeah.
people, but
So-
I'm enjoying this.
Yeah. So Joan's point, I think, then goes to okay, we've got not resting, we've got passive, and then Joan's point goes to then what Unitha is explaining to us, which is rest. Which rest is letting it go. So that's the part of the resting, letting it go.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why you generally enter rest, not talking about the problem, but you enter the courts with praise and thanksgiving.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that's part of rest, because you're putting the problem down for a minute and you start saying, God, you are the great problem solver. God, you
Right.
have everything in your hands. God, you
Right.
are more powerful. And sometimes just with Thanksgiving, you get the solution because you realize
Yeah,
how
yeah,
small the
yeah.
problem is.
Mhm.
But once you've done that,
Yeah.
you've relaxed your brain enough, and then what Unitha is saying, not that you go from there to passive, but you go to active based on instruction, because
Yes.
now you can hear it.
Now you can hear it. And another part, when you started talking, Nicole, it reminded me that another part of entering into his rest is also solitude. That's another component. That's I even call a deeper level of entering into his rest. Solitude is when you take time and you're not listening to the praise and worship. You're not reading the word, but you're just getting still. You're quieting yourself, and you're getting still. And you're just sitting like I'm sitting, and you're just like, Lord, what do you want to say to me today? What do you want to say in this moment? I trust you. I usually go into my times of solitude and I say, Lord, your servant is here to hear what you have for me today.
That's good.
And then I just sit in quiet. I don't have any music. I don't have anything. I'm quiet. Now, what I do have in my time of rest, in my time of solitude, as well as in my time of prayer and study of the word, is my journal. Because I know that God is going to speak. God is faithful.
He's faithful. Amen.
God is faithful. Now, some of us may be looking to God to say a particular thing, but when you go with the expectation of what do you want to say to me today in this moment, God, there's an array of things that God could say to you in the moment, but it's still exactly what you need. So you may have a presenting problem, but God may speak to you about something else. So you may come and you say, I got to figure out this situation going on my job. But then God start talking to you about your children. And he's saying, I need you to pay more attention to your children or to a particular child. I need you to check on that child. I need you to, and then you're like, oh, wow. And in doing that, it's like a snowball effect, at least how it happens in my life. Then something in that obedience leads me right to the answer to what's going on at the job. Or I'm fortified enough in was being obedient in what God told me to do with my child, that act has freed up my mind. And now the answer has come for what to do at work.
So it sounds like what you're saying is that when we enter into his rest, and when we get to the point where we're listening and can hear God and addressing what he says to do, not necessarily what was on our mind, what that actually does is it gets us in alignment.
Yes.
It aligns us.
Mark that.
And our alignment will trickle into other areas of our life, including that thing or those things that we were really worried about, right? Because it's the alignment that really needs to happen. And that's what will impact our lives in the ways that we really need our lives changed and transformed and blessed and receiving God's promises. That happens with alignment. So
because when we're in alignment, that's the goal, is alignment. Yeah. And so sometimes that's the reason why we enter into his rest also. We could think that the pressing matter is the job.
Right, yeah.
But in God's mind, the pressing matter is your child.
Right. And that's why you're out of alignment.
And that's why you're out of alignment, because you're so busy trying to focus all your attention on your job. You're so busy trying to focus your attention in school or in a relationship or in something. And God is saying, but I want your focus here, because this is where you're going to have the greatest impact right now. And that you don't even understand that once you get this part in alignment, everything else will begin to flow and everything else will fall in alignment. And that's why it's so important to enter into his rest, because we take our agendas off the table. We take our to-do list off the table. We take our goals off the table and we say, I surrender, Lord. What is it?
You know what? Something keeps coming to my mind as you're speaking, which is the passage is labor to enter my rest, right?
Yes.
It is
It's in Hebrews 4, right?
Hebrews 4. Okay. It's one of the only places in the Bible
where God tells us to labor.
Where God tells you to labor. Almost everything else is receive. Let me do it for you. It's one of the only places God says, no, this one,
you got to do it.
You got to do it. And it's not just going to be, oh, I choose to do it. It's labor. It's going to take work. Yeah. And I think he says that because as Unitha was speaking and speaking about, okay, I have this problem, but God is telling me to go take care of my child. Or I need to do something at work and I can't attend to my child right now. The only way you're able to rest in that is trust.
I was going to talk about that
next. I was bringing up next. Yes, trust. I was going to bring up trust. But you know what? But our time is coming to an end. So I think that next week, our next week's show, we're going to talk about rest. We're going to continue talking about rest. But we're going to include the trusting part, because I think that is an essential foundation to resting in God.
Most definitely.
Okay, is that okay with all of you?
Yes.
And I just want to say this. Listening audience, this is what alignment looks like. That was the thought that was on all of our heads without communicating, and it is the perfect segue to the next show. Yes. We didn't plan that. We didn't discuss that. That's what rest and alignment looks like.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, Jesus.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lord.
Thank you for joining us today. We are so honored to have you. We just really appreciate your time. and your gift. You have blessed us with your gift today. Thank you for that.
Oh, but she's coming back for the next show.
I know, but I want to tell her, but still, she 2 times. That's a lot.
I was getting sad. I thought she wasn't going to be
here. You're coming back, right? You need that.
Yes, I'll be back.
All right. So next week she'll be back, and she will continue leading us in this really blessed discussion on entering into God's rest. And so, audience, we want to thank you all for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube page. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram. If this show is a blessing to you, follow us, share us at Real Talk for Women of Faith. You can submit your prayer requests to us or learn more about our ministries at our website, which is innercitywomenoffaith.org, innercitywomenoffaith.org. And again, thank you for joining us for Real Talk for Women of Faith, brought to you by Inner City Women of Faith.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
One for the money, two for the show.